All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know, the business landscape is shifting faster than ever, and it's being driven by some seriously powerful new technologies, and, let's be honest, some complex global pressures. For leaders, just trying to keep up, that's not going to cut it anymore. So in this Explainer, we're going to decode the critical trends that will define the future and what it really takes to not just survive, but to actually thrive. Let's dive in.
And let's kick things off with this really powerful reframe on AI from NVIDIA. It's not about replacement, it's about amplification. That simple shift in perspective, honestly, it's the key to unlocking the true potential of the whole AI revolution. And it really sets the stage for everything we're about to cover.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the promise and the peril of AI, that double-edged sword. Then we'll get into the new playbook for what success looks like. From there, we'll talk about the crucial human element, navigate the crazy external pressures of what's called the polycrisis, and finally, we'll boil it all down into one single mandate for every leader. You have to build resilience.
All right, first up, the AI double-edged sword. You know, for all the incredible promise we hear about with generative AI, it comes with a hidden and potentially really costly dark side that leaders absolutely have to understand.
And that hidden cost? It actually has a name, and it's a term you're probably going to be hearing a lot more: work slop. It's the unintended consequence of all this mass AI adoption. And believe me, it's already seeping into our workflows.
So what is it exactly? Well, work slop is that AI-generated stuff that sounds completely plausible, totally well-researched, but it's actually riddled with mistakes, or worse, things that are just completely made up. It creates this huge amount of cleanup work for other people down the line, and more importantly, it quietly eats away at the single most valuable currency in any organization: trust.
So how can you tell if this is happening? Well, these are the red flags. Are people just generating things with AI and immediately sending them out with zero review? Are your other teams constantly sending things back asking for corrections? Is there no single place everyone agrees to get their data from? Maybe the biggest one: is there a huge gap between how confident people are in what the AI is spitting out and how correct it actually is? These are all signs that work slop is becoming a real problem, and it's not just eroding trust in the tech, but in the people who are using it carelessly.
Okay, so facing that new reality, how in the world do we adapt? That brings us to our second big idea, the new business playbook. And this is all about three things: data, agility, and a really cool concept called ambient AI. Now check this out. The real story here is if you follow the money. R&D for smartphones? It's pretty much flatlined. But investment in AI-enabled wearables, it's absolutely exploding. We're talking from just over $1 billion in 2020 to a projected $9 billion by 2025. That is not just a trend. That's a massive signal about where the future of computing is actually heading. And all this investment? It's creating a whole new reality: ambient AI. Basically, it's the idea that artificial intelligence won't just live on our computer screens anymore. It's going to be woven into the very fabric of our lives, through the devices we wear and interact with every single day.
And listen, this isn't science fiction. It's already here. I mean, think about hearing aids that can translate speech for you in real time, or smart glasses that can identify what you're looking at, or even a ring on your finger that can predict when you're about to get stressed. AI is moving off the desktop and out into our world.
So here's the crucial point in all this. In a world of ambient AI, and remember, work slop, the algorithm is not the differentiator. It's not the magic sauce anymore. The quality of your data is. Without a rock-solid data strategy, you are just drowning in a sea of bad information. But with one, you are perfectly positioned to lead the next wave of transformation.
And you don't have to look far to see this playbook in action. Netflix used its massive trove of customer data to totally dominate streaming. Starbucks used its mobile app data to build a personalization empire. And then you have companies like Cargill, who show that just by shifting to an agile mindset, acting on data quickly, they boosted productivity by a staggering 60%.
But look, technology and data, they're only half the story. And that brings us to our third section, which is arguably the most important variable of all: the enduring human factor. Because at the end of the day, culture is the ultimate operating system.
So let's circle back to where we started. For the longest time, the narrative was dominated by this fear of AI replacing people. The new reality, and the one that successful leaders have to champion, is seeing AI as an amplifier of human capability.
You know, IBM's CEO Arvind Krishna puts it perfectly. The tech is just a tool. The real magic, the actual transformation, it happens when your people trust it, when they embrace it, and when you have a culture that empowers them to turn all that data into meaningful action.
So how do leaders actually build that culture of trust? Well, it starts with mastering human communication. This Relate framework from MIT is a brilliant guide. It's about recognizing the context of your audience, engaging with them actively, truly listening to understand, and then adapting your message. In a world that is just flooded with AI-generated noise, these distinctly human skills, the ability to truly connect, they become your superpower.
Of course, all these internal changes aren't happening in a vacuum. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the complex external world leaders are facing. That brings us to Section 4, Navigating the Polycrisis. And yes, that's a real term for the intersection of multiple interconnected global crises all happening at once.
We're dealing with this perfect storm of crises. On the economic front, you've got inflation and consumer uncertainty. When it comes to climate, it's no longer a distant threat. It's a financial accelerant that makes adapting an urgent necessity. And then, on top of all that, you have geopolitical instability, which is now seen as the #1 risk to growth, with the battlefield shifting from the physical to the digital world.
So, with all of this in mind, the promise and peril of AI, the new business playbook, the absolute importance of culture, and this external polycrisis, what is the one thing that leaders must do? Well, this brings us to our final and most critical section. The leader's mandate is to build resilience.
And resilience starts with defense. As cyber attacks get more and more sophisticated, leaders need a clear playbook. And this is about more than just strengthening your tech protocols. It means training every single employee to be a human firewall. It means implementing a zero-trust policy where everything has to be verified. And it means having a detailed response plan ready to go before a crisis hits. These are all leadership responsibilities now.
But resilience goes so much deeper than just cybersecurity. A truly resilient organization is built on 4 very human pillars. It's about fostering deep collaboration and constant innovation. It's about operating with unwavering ethics, and it's about aligning every single action with a clear, long-term vision. This is the real foundation for sustainable success.
And this right here is the final crucial mindset shift. Resilience isn't a defensive crouch. It's not just about surviving or weathering the storm. It's a proactive strategy for turning all the turbulence and challenges of this new era into your greatest opportunities for growth and innovation.
So we'll leave you with this one question to really think about. In a world that is defined by constant, unpredictable change, take a hard look at your strategy. Is it a relic of a more stable past, or is it truly built to navigate the storms of tomorrow?
Thanks for tuning in to The Explainer.